It's up to the board, but yeah, you can.
Talk amongst yourselves if you want to do that.
Because
This way we can get some rid of some of these people.
I'm assuming the board is asking because John Hancock's not on the agenda. Yeah, we put John Hancock on the agenda.
Right.
Because we didn't have any information last month, so we just tabled it until we have more information. So it's up to the board. If you
So we're gonna do that before your report then?
You can, yeah, that's fine. And then like Kevin said, if you want to be able to.
Okay.
Albert, I didn't hear what you said, but the Albert, I just want to make sure this pensions get approved because people are waiting for the money.
Oh, that's right.
I really, honestly, they need to get their money.
Oh, yeah. We just need to go
Just
through,
in case
up
it goes
through,
on to Al.
up through L, just to accept the application of Bill Gentleman to get that done.
Okay.
Because we have a board member that has to leave at 8 o'clock. And we have 4 members. No, 4. Correct, that's the problem.
Show on the road then.
Okay. We call a meeting to order at 19:10 for the West Warwick Pension Board. We're going to skip for diligence, for a time factor here, because we've got a couple of issues tonight that's creating some issues. We're going to skip the prayer and the pledge of allegiance for this board meeting. We're going to go to roll call.
David Malloy, Edward Fonseca.
Here.
Paul Bertrand.
Here.
Elaine Anderson. Here. Albert Hero.
Here. Item E on next thing here is approval of the minutes for January 2017. Motion?
Make a motion to accept minutes.
So I make a motion, second it.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes for the January 2017 minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We can skip your report for now.
That's fine. I would just do executive session quickly.
Oh, that's right, okay. You want to read that again one more time?
You just have to seal the minutes.
This here.
Are we gonna go into it?
No, we have to motion to close minutes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close executive session in accordance with the Rhode Island General Law 42-46-4 and 42-46-5A2.
And is that also to seal the minutes?
And sealed minutes.
Make a motion, second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Closed, opposed? Okay, thank you. You want to go to H, okay. We're going to go to H, payment of bills. First one is Olin and Penza LLP, file MBF 7372, the amount of $2576.50. That's for December of 2017. We voting one at a time, or we?
We usually do them one item, like number 1, number 2.
1 and 2, okay, all right. And number 2 under the same thing is Highland Art Company for actuary and administrative services for December 2017, the amount of $2,700. Was that on the?
I would do the first one, have them vote on Olin and Penza, because some of those hot ones, we have questions to table.
Yeah. Vote on the first one. MBF 7372 for $2,576.50, and that's for December of 17.
I make a motion that we pay Penza, Olin and Penza.
I second the motion?
Motion made and seconded. Any more further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Nyhart Corporation, Actuary and Administrative Service for December of 2017, Gatsby report for 2,700. This is the one we want to table, correct?
Make a motion, we table, number 2, the Howard Nyart Company Incorporated.
No, that's not the one.
That's not the one? Which one
No,
is it then?
it'll be,
Well, I still wanna do that one too anyway.
okay, we'll do it.
I wanna table
If
that.
you wanna table them all, I guess them on the next
You know,
one.
something we should. Let's just table, because we don't have time here.
Go ahead, table Nyhart.
Table Nyart. I'm gonna table the, what else is there to table?
You want it, the other one's just my bill for the town.
The Town of West Warwick?
Oh, wait a minute, you're gonna do one at a time.
Okay, gonna table the Actuary and Administrative Services of 2018?
No, just you can table all Nyhart's bills.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna table all Nyhart bills
Until when?
Next month.
to next month's meeting.
Have a second?
Do you have questions on all of these bills or just one?
We're gonna table all of them.
These are
Yeah, I see them all.
considering, because it is, we want to
Neat.
feel the town should do
Yeah,
this.
a little, isn't it? That's terrible for a whole quarter.
It is.
Why don't we at least approve
I don't want
the
to
ones
wait.
that we can approve? Actual and administrative services, $250, travel expenses,
o'clock.
$600.
It would be the $5,000 one and
Yeah,
the 36, if you wanna just remove that, and if you wanna just quickly go through them, that's fine too.
So you want to,
I don't wanna do any of them.
so you want to go through one at a time, table them and then one approve it?
You would have to.
Okay. All right, let's, number 2, Nyhart Corporation. First one, Actuary and Administrative Services, December 2017 for $2,700.
Make a motion to table it?
I make a motion to table it.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to table Administrative Service for December 2017, the amount of $2,700. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is Actuary and Administrative Service for January 2018 Experience Study for an amount of $7,500.
I'll make a motion to table that one.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to table Actuary and Administrative Service for January 2018 Experience Study in the amount of $7,500. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is Fee for Services 10-year project in the amount of $5,000.
I make a motion to table it.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table the 10-year projection fees and services in the amount of $5,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. Next, Actuary and Administrative Services for December 2017 in the amount of $450.
I make a motion, we table it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
One against. Actuary and Administrative Services for December 2017 travel expenses in the amount of $600.
I make a motion, we table this.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to table Actuary and Administrative Service for December 2017 travel expenses in the amount of $600. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
One nay. Actuary and Administrative Service for December 2017 annual statement in the amount of $3,060.
I make a motion to table it.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table Actuary and Administrative Services for December 2017 annual statement for the amount of $3,060. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
One nay. Item number 3, Town of West Warwick Finance Department reimbursement for expenses for fourth quarter 2017 clerk, $1,043.49.
I make a motion, we pay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to pay the reimbursement expenses fourth quarter 2017 clerk in the amount of $1,043.49. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, item I. Applications to receive. First one we have is Patrick Kelly, police normal retirement. We have a retirement date yet?
I don't know when that will be. That one is the question, the police. So we'll have to talk about that one at a later time.
Okay, but we just received the application, so we just need to,
received.
Just received.
That's all it is.
okay. Next one is Roland Ozenkowski, police normal retirement, 1/31/2018. Any discussion?
It's just Ronald.
Yeah. Okay. Next item is J, death benefit, Patricia.
Wait a minute, you guys
Vote.
didn't, you gotta vote on it.
Okay, all right.
Motion.
Motion to receive applications for
Second.
Patrick Kelly and Ronald Ozenkowski.
The motions are made and seconded to receive the applications of Patrick Kelly and Ronald Ozenkowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item J, death benefit, Patricia Garham, survivor, schools, date of death is 1/5/2018, monthly amount of $993.38, and a one-time benefit of $2,000.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Motion made and accepted, seconded, for the death benefit of Patricia Graham, monthly amount of $993.38, and a one-time benefit of $2,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item K, return of contributions. First one is Joseph Harris, wastewater. Termination date is 12/29/2017. The amount is $3,519.29.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for Joseph Harris wastewater treatment. Termination date 12/29/2017. The amount of $3,519.29. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second one is Brian Sinertia, DPW, termination date 1/5/2018. His amount is $7,548.95.
Make a motion to accept this return of contributions.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to return the contributions for Brian Sinertia, DPW, for an amount of $7,548.95. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item L, applications to approve. First one is Cynthia Kelsey, normal schools, retirement date is 12/1/17, and her amount is $1,385.85.
Make a motion, we accept.
I second that motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve the application of Cynthia Kelsey, normal retirement from the schools in the amount of $1,385.85. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This is where we're gonna switch our agenda here, and we're gonna switch down to public comment.
Motion.
Okay. Make a motion to change the agenda, someone?
So I'd like to make a motion to change our agenda to address item T, public comments,
Accept.
before item M, regulation number 6.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to change the agenda to go from item M to item T first for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment?
Kevin O'Connell. I'm the chairman of the West Warwick Police and Fire Disability Association, but I do not come here tonight as the chairperson. I come here as a concerned citizen as to an ongoing problem that I don't know if you're aware of, because we have a lot of new members up here. I don't know if you were briefed at your executive session, but I'm going to go through a brief history as fast as I can, because I know time is at essence. 11 months ago, you received a check from John Hancock Insurance for $66,000. I questioned that check, okay? And I was told by the chairman of the board, Mr. Vestano, that he would never refuse money from John Hancock. Didn't know where the money came from, didn't particularly care, accepted the check, and went about business. I asked him if he would investigate, told me he had a full-time job, and he didn't have time to do it. So I left. We had the rest of the meeting, and I left. So I went home and did a little investigating. And lo and behold, I found a document from 1969 from a pension study committee when they wanted to switch from John Hancock to the West Warwick, the current West Warwick pension. In that document, there was an amount that the committee said they had called John Hancock under Group Annuity 460 for John Hancock. That policy in 1969 was worth $363,000. Of that $363,000 was $72,000 of employee contributions. In that document, the Pension Study Commission said they called John Hancock twice, not once, but twice. John Hancock refused to turn that money over to the new pension, refused. In that document, it also stated that the town should get their legal counsel and check to see if they could recoup that money because they wanted to start their current pension plan. And lo and behold, if you talk to all these retirees out here, a lot of them are new faces to you, okay? Back when they were 25 years old, they were told by their unions in the town that John Hancock policy was going to be turned over to the current pension. It was going to be incorporated. And they all believed it did. And I had no reason to doubt it didn't, because we thought everything was on the up and up. Lo and behold, I come to this pension board meeting, and you receive a $66,000 check from John Hancock, who it's not even in your portfolio as an asset, and you accept it, and you do nothing about it. So I took it upon myself to start doing some investigative work. I called the Attorney General. They put me in touch with DBR. DBR asked me to file a complaint. I did. Received a letter from DBR after a couple of months. In that letter, they said they contacted John Hancock. They said they couldn't discuss it with Mr. O'Connell because I wasn't on the original policy. So they're right. I wasn't. My dad was, okay, but I wasn't. Okay? So how did they know that? How could they not discuss it with me other than if they had the John Hancock policy in front of them, correct? Correct? You would think so.
You would think.
Okay? So they can't discuss it with me, and DBR sends me a letter saying that I should get the retirees together and hire a civil lawyer to try to recoup their money. Because they had no power to, I guess, investigate it any further. That's what the letter, I'll let you read it if you want. So I got a little frustrated. And in the meantime, I've gone to the town manager, the old town manager, and he told me that, oh, those guys, you know what? They got a separate check from John Hancock, plus they got their pension from the town of West Warwick. And he says that big check was probably because the last guy died that was on the policy, and they ended the policy. I said, are you sticking with that story? I says, because every month I have breakfast with these gentlemen who are part of the John Hancock, and they're alive and well. Okay? Alive and well. And not one of them has received a benefit from John Hancock. Not one of them. And that was only police. I've had the fortunate opportunity to talk to some firemen now. And the same story goes. Not one of them received a check from John Hancock Insurance. So I got frustrated. I've been lied to. I got no cooperation from the pension board. You're all new. I'm going to give you a pass on this one, okay? So I called Channel 12. I heard about their investigative team. I've seen them on TV. I said, let me give them a shot. Maybe I can wake somebody up. So Mr. Buteau was gracious enough to meet me at the FOP. We had a lengthy interview at 1 o'clock. It ended about 10 minutes at 3. It takes me 10 minutes to get home from the FOP. I arrive home from the FOP. On my caller ID, there's a caller from your law firm. Okay? I said, Mr. O'Connell, did you request any documents reference to John Hancock? I said, no, I didn't. I said, you know, I go to every meeting and I ask about John Hancock. Nobody knows anything. We can't discuss it. There's, you know, there's no documents. We're just going to accept the checks. So she says, well, I've got the John Hancock policy in front of me. I said, you do? She said, would you like it? I said, yeah. Here it is. I have it now. And whoever did this was right. There's only 8 names on the original.
Sorry, Mr. O'Connell, do you believe then that more than 8 people actually contributed?
There are more than 8 people, okay?
Contributed to the policy?
Right, because every one of these gentlemen out here, or their widows, because a lot of them have died since then, okay? They said their husband talked about having a John Hancock policy, and it was turned over to the pension. We know that's not true because you received a check from John Hancock. So if John Hancock turned over that $363,000, there's no reason in the world for John Hancock to send you money, unless they like you, unless they like the town of West Warwick. They say, hey, they don't have a policy with us, let's send them a $66,000 check. Correct? If they had turned it over, there would be no reason in the world for John Hancock to send this pension board a check. And lo and behold, we find out maybe there have been other checks over the years. Don't know how much, but I assume there's other checks. That's all I've been told.
And so that policy that you have, what's the date on that?
July 10th, 1957.
1957.
Yes, ma'am.
But we contributed,
So
we contributed at least up until 1969.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
So they have a version of the policy. It's possible the policy was amended as more people started to contribute.
Well, here's the deal. I was frustrated because I couldn't find a policy. So, good friend of mine, we called up the union, the local IBPO. And I said, do you guys have any old files? They said, yeah, we have some at the basement of the FOP. I says, would you mind sending a union representative with us? And we'd like to go through them. I'm looking for something that says John Hancock on it. They says, Kev, we trust you. Go with George. Go down the FOP. So George and I spent 3.5 hours down there going through 2 lockers full of paperwork. And lo and behold, here's a certificate in the name of Lionel Dumity, who was a West Warwick police officer. Okay, it's made out to him from John Hancock, certificate number 33, control number 13022. Okay, so yes, Lionel Dumity wasn't on the original document, but he came on after and they issued him a certificate because it made no sense for John Hancock to issue policy after policy. They just put him on as a writer, which makes sense. Because you didn't know how big the fire and police department were going to be, correct? Right. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that. But lo and behold, here it is. So you know they're out there. I can't get any cooperation from this town. These people put their hard-earned money into a John Hancock policy that they never received a benefit from. And everybody told them it was going into a pension fund, and it never did. Because if it did, nobody would have received a check from John Hancock. What is it going to take for this pension board and the town of West Warwick and everybody? The time is ticking. Some of these gentlemen are 80, 90 years old. If they've got money coming to them, I can't receive any benefit from here. I'm not looking out for myself. They deserve some answers. I want to know, when did you receive this document from John Hancock? That's my first question tonight. When did the pension board get this? Because I've been told for 11 months that they didn't have this, okay? Because I wasn't going to refuse any money. I'm just going to accept it. If they had it 11 months ago, they would have told me they had it, and they would have done an investigation. So where did it come from? Who had it, and why were they hiding it from me? That's what I want to know. Krista, you're on the spot.
As I told you when I called you
Wednesday.
Wednesday, I received a communication from the town of West Warwick that was asking a question about the John Hancock policy. There was another attorney in my office at the time that I received the email, which was Mr. Michael Fort, who was previous pension board counsel, who had come to the board meetings before me.
Correct.
When I received the email from the town that indicated that there were questions about a John Hancock policy, I read it out loud. And Mr. Fort indicated that he had a binder that had copies of all of the old pension plans, and that there might be information about the John Hancock policy in the pension plan binder, because as we know, the policies originated with John Hancock, and before there was a pension plan.
Correct.
So we went through a cabinet in my office where there are binders. I pulled the binder out that had the pension plan, and it started with the John Hancock plan. It's in a black binder that's labeled, I believe, pension plans, possibly West Warwick pension plans. And I retrieved that document from there. I contacted the clerk and indicated that I had this document. I asked for your contact information, and I contacted you immediately. And that's when we spoke, and I scanned and emailed it, and I emailed it to the clerk, and I emailed it to yourself.
So
Where it
Tracy
came
never
from.
emailed you asking if I had, asking for documents after I met with Mr. Butel? Because while I was with Mr. Butel, it just seems really odd. I was with Mr. Butel, he asked me what Tracy's email address was. I told him, he says he was going to send something to her. I guess they can request documents.
Correct. We did
Okay.
receive an APRA request from Channel 12. That was received after we had spoken. I had not received it at that point.
Well, how
I
come
believe
you
that
told
was
me you
received
did?
Friday. No, you told me that there was an APRA request, and I said I wasn't aware of it.
No, I did not. I told you, you asked me, the first conversation was, Mr. O'Connell, did you request documents from Tracy? And I said, no, I did not. No, I did not. And then I told you at the end, I says, no. And then you asked me if I wanted a copy. And you said you'd email it to me, and you did. And I says, it was Mr. Buteau that asked for
Yes.
them.
Yes, I'm sorry. I did not receive a document request from Tracy at that point. We had not received the APRA request at that point. I had gotten a communication from the town that there had been a request for documents. I contacted Tracy and asked if she had received one, and she had not.
Have you received one from
since
Mr.
received
Buteau?
one.
I did, actually today, and I forwarded it, I guess it came in late Friday, so I came in today.
Have they asked you for any other documents relating to John Hancock as far as checks over the past years? Because I did a little checking, and I know you told me at some of the meetings that you received other checks.
Yeah, I brought
Yeah.
them, and I did. I gave what I had to Ernie last week on like Thursday or Friday, don't quote me. If I had a copy, and then I had requested from Citizens, anything that was deposited, but Citizens answered me back that they were done with us and they couldn't answer me on that. And the only one I sent to Rockland is when I put the 66,000 on the agenda.
How come it's not in the minutes of the meeting that we received these checks? Because I went back to 2015, I looked at all the minutes, and it doesn't mention about receiving any checks.
You know, I put that 66,000, I had another one, sometimes I would bring them to the meeting and tell them, because we had to research way back when we first took over the pension, we had received one in when there was both clerks, and we didn't even know what it was, and I remember we had emails going back and forth just to deposit it. I haven't got that many, Kevin.
Okay, you've been here the longest. When you received that check from John Hancock, did it have a correspondence why they sent it to you?
No, it just had that one sheet that I made a copy of and put it on the agenda.
The check?
Yeah.
So they never said, this is a dividend check, this is from a policy, this is, Then my question is, why didn't you bring it to the pension board and say, I have no idea where this check's coming
I
from?
did put it on the pension board, that's how.
That one, not the others.
I don't remember about the others, I really don't, I had bought some, I don't now.
Because I sat on this
Small ones.
board and I would question everything. If it wasn't in my portfolio, man, I would want to know where that money came from. Because if you do an audit, that money's got to show up someplace, right? And you guys just did an audit, I think in 2015, for Mr. Almonte. He spent $26,000. Did anything come up with that audit? See what I'm saying, gentlemen and ladies?
I have a couple of questions. May I ask a couple of questions here?
Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. Number one, you mentioned that you were told, people were told that it went into the pension board, and everybody believed it. So why wasn't there any accountability? Why didn't anyone come aboard to a meeting and say, did that money go into the pension board? Why wasn't that ever asked, number one?
And for 49 years?
That's number one.
Okay.
In the beginning, when it first, because in 1969, okay, it's 49 years ago.
Correct, 49 years.
So in 1969, that policy came about. And it was, the people were told that the money was put into the pension with the
The
pension
current
board.
pension.
So why did anyone ever question it after that?
How do you know they didn't?
That's where I'm at. How do you know they did? How do you know they didn't? I don't know how they did. I wasn't here in 1969. I was in the school.
Regardless whether they
Number one.
question it or not,
Well, it's accountability. You're trying to say nobody knew anything about it since 1969 until now. That's number one.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you did know about it
I
because you
never knew
received,
about it.
you're on the board. You were there sitting when I asked
Let
you
me
about
ask
the
you something.
$66,000 check. Did you speak up about it?
Forget the check right now.
No, I'm not forgetting the check
Does your
because that's
father-
why I'm here.
Does your father have a certificate?
No, he doesn't. I can't find it. But I found Mr.
So he
Dumany's.
never got a certificate, your dad?
I don't know. My dad is
Okay.
deceased.
I'm only asking you, Mr. O'Connell. I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking questions because, first of all, why is it you have that, she called you, and we don't know anything about anything? Why aren't we informed?
Because I investigate.
So why weren't we informed about this situation?
This is on the board council report for today, because this just happened,
Well,
so.
he's got that. He's been on
Correct.
television already once. He's here now.
Correct.
We're here. We look like the dummies, and we're not.
All right, hold on,
Okay.
hold on. We don't look like dummies.
Well, I
This-
don't want to be
as Kev-
considered a dummy over here.
Well, as Kevin said, Mr. O'Connor said, this was all before us.
Right.
I
Go
said-
look at, no, not before all of you. He was there.
Okay.
For 11 months, go look on the minutes of the meetings, okay? It'll say, Mr. O'Connell, John Hancock, Mr. O'Connell, John Hancock, Mr. O'Connell, John Hancock. So you can't say I didn't ask.
You did ask, but I'm saying, wasn't this asked a long time ago? All of a sudden, you come up with that.
Because I was just made aware of it in January of 2017.
But you've been talking about it ever since I've known you. You've been talking about this, John Hancock.
Since
for a while.
January of 2000, you're absolutely right. Since January of 2017, I have been talking about it. And we are in February of 2018, and I still don't have any answers from this
So why
board.
didn't we know about this sooner than 2017?
Ask the
All
board.
right, all right.
I can't police the pension board. I was a policeman in town. Not my job to police the pension board.
When were you on the board? You said you were on the board at one time.
Early 1990s,
Okay, so you were on the board in 1990.
absolutely.
And
No,
this policy was about 1969.
4 months.
Okay, it could be more, 4 days,
Yep.
okay? But what I'm saying here, you came aboard in 1990. This policy came into effect in 1969.
Correct.
So back then, you didn't know anything about it when you were on the board?
In the 1990s? No.
You didn't know either.
No, because I had to resign. If I had stayed on the board and I didn't have to recuse myself because the town didn't do their pension right and we all became taxable, that's why I had to resign.
All right,
Okay?
hold on. All right,
Okay.
we're getting off base here.
Right, we're getting off base.
So, do we have any more in your files, any more documentation on John Hancock's insurance?
I have not gone through. I have boxes in my storage room that have been put together from previous council. There's an awful lot of information. We have received an access to public records request that was made, that is requesting, and I can read it for you.
Yes, please.
You turn your microphone on so we can hear you.
They're automatic.
Not automatic, we can't hear
I
you.
think if you just,
Yeah,
yeah,
can you
it's
can you
better
hear me
that
now?
way.
No? Still? Better? Okay. I'll go really close. Okay, how about now? Good? We have received an access to public records request that has asked for copies of any and all checks made payable to the town of West Warwick Pension Fund from John Hancock Life Insurance since 1969, copies of any and all emails, letters, and other correspondence to and from the town of West Warwick and the John Hancock Life Insurance Company, and copies of any and all letters or correspondence that accompanied checks made payable to the town of West Warwick Pension Fund from John Hancock Life Insurance Company since 1969. That's the request that we just received. So I have not gone through the documents to see what we have or we don't have that's responsive to that request. Tracy has begun to go through the documents that are in the pension office to see if she can find anything that's responsive to that request, and we are in the process of responding to it. But there are a lot of documents that will need to be reviewed because obviously we're talking about a long period of time.
Now, is this you requesting John Hancock, or is this Channel 12 requesting you?
That's
Provide them.
Channel 12's
12
Access to
requesting.
Public Records Act
Okay.
request that came in.
Now, I'm sure, with all due diligence, because this has been going on for 11 months, has anybody except for Channel 12 asked for John Hancock to produce any documents? I know Channel 12 did. I'm close contact with them now.
It's
They
my-
seem more interested than the town. Isn't that a
The
shame?
past chairman?
It's my understanding that
The
the
past
previous
chairman,
chairman
the
had
previous chairman.
communications.
Mr. Vistano?
I believe so. But
The-
I will be getting all the documents together and I'll know
Absolutely.
more
I'd like to see
very
that.
soon.
I'd like to see that.
So let's find out what documents the town does have available and start from there, okay, with an investigation. And if John Hancock will
Can you
only
turn
talk,
your mic on?
if John Hancock will only speak to somebody who is on that, that policy, then we're probably gonna have to find somebody who's still alive and on that policy.
Right here. Right here.
Well, yeah, except we might need some documentation, you know, a certificate that says that you are, and hopefully the town's got a copy of those somewhere.
But-
Just to
But do you
prove it.
realize,
Yeah.
do you realize time is of the essence?
Oh, yes,
Time is of the essence,
yeah, I
okay?
know, but,
And 11 months, well, years gone by,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And nothing's been done.
well, actually, you've done quite a bit, I think. I mean,
Isn't that a
you
shame?
know, I mean.
Isn't that
I
a
think
shame?
I think it's terrific of you to.
No, it
have done
isn't terrific of me. I don't want to do this. I'm only doing it because I know these gentlemen. I worked with them. I fought hard with them. I know what they sacrificed.
So,
And if they've got any money coming to them, you people should use your due diligence in getting it to them as soon as possible, before it's too late. Before you have to come to me and say, hey, you know, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, yeah, we'll talk to John Hancock, we're going to cut him a check now. Well, you know, 5 or 6 of them aren't around now. Don't let it go. Don't, please, promise me you won't let it go. If you have to, this is what I'm willing to do for you. If you have to do a commission, okay, of pension board, town manager, town council, and the retirees, I'd be more than happy to spearhead this with you. To get a hold of John Hancock, get him in here, and let's ask him some questions. Okay, because they're the only people that can answer this. They're the only people that can answer this, because there's not many good files in the pension board prior to Tracy, because I was there, and it's very limited, okay? Files from the police department were kept at the town garage, roof caved in, they were all destroyed. So this town is very limited what they can produce.
how about, Tracy, do you have any concept of our financial files? Do we still have access to those back to 1970?
No.
No?
Yeah,
No, okay,
you see.
Good chuckle, yes, I have.
Mr. O'Connor?
okay, sorry. Then, you know, we're gonna have to pull whatever data
Correct.
we've got together, and.
We have received the public, I'm sorry, we have received the public record request and we are in the process of responding to it. So
Okay.
it will
So-
involve, obviously, an investigation of whatever records we have available.
And timetable?
I only have one box.
Uh, I- We will be responding in accordance with the general laws on the access to public record request. We're going to go obviously as expeditiously as possible. However, there are a lot of documents that need to be reviewed to make sure that we respond with everything. So we're going to respond in accordance with the general laws.
With that 30 days, isn't it?
I appreciate it, and I'll do this. They're relying on me to be their spokesperson right now. Somewhere down the road, I'm going to have to turn this over to somebody, okay? I can give you 60 days, if that's what they're willing. I'm going to have a meeting with all the retirees in the near future. I can give you 60 days, but following that 60 days, all bets are off. DBR told me to go get a private attorney for these people, okay? And we've done a little checking, okay? That 363 on the market today should be in the millions and millions of dollars if it was invested by John Hancock. And they're the only ones that derive the benefit, okay? Because $66,000 to me is Trump change. To me personally, it's a lot of money, okay? In the grand scope of things, it's peanuts, okay? Because they're owed $72,000 as of 1969, just their payroll deduction. Okay? So you want to compound that interest for 49 years? Them alone. Particularly right now, I don't care if the town recoups any of their money. I really don't. That's their problem. Okay? They haven't cooperated with me. That's their problem. But I will try to recoup their money. They deserve it. They worked for this town. And I know it's not your problem, but it is your problem now. And it's a shame that there's all new members here because we have to start all over again. And that's going to take time. And I know you shake your hands. I know there's nothing you can do about it. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So don't begrudge me. And as I told Mr. Vissano when I told him I was going to the Attorney General's office, don't begrudge me if I go get them a private attorney, okay, and say it's out of our hands now. Because we need to do something for these people. We really do. And you should all be on board with this, 155%.
We'll do what we can. We're
Mr.
trying to
O'Connell.
get as much data as we can, you know, but, you know, when it comes down to, you know, proving things with a company, you've got to have some data, and I'm hoping that we've got something that shows that
$66,000 check.
yes, but, and I know that you can't understand why there's a $66,000 check, and, you know, maybe there's a very good reason for it, you know, some small thing
Because they
wasn't-
kept the policy. They kept the
Well,
policy
then
active.
I would have to ask why there wouldn't be more than that if that was the case.
Ah,
So,
that's
you know, I
that's
mean,
the $50,000 question right there.
so, you know, I'm kind of inclined to think that maybe they did send some of the money to the town, so let's find out.
Or
you
did they
know,
draw
hopefully.
down on the annuity themselves?
Well, then that's,
Yeah.
again, we're gonna have to find out.
I talked to Mr.
what we have
Buteau
for
tonight.
data.
As of today,
I mean, I don't wanna conjecture, we need data.
John Hancock has not contacted Channel 12. You would think they would want to be open about this, okay? But if I have to plaster their names all over the media, John Hancock, not so much you, because you guys are very limited. I don't know how much responsibility you have, but you guys are very limited, okay? But if I have to do that for these people to get John Hancock's attention, that's what I'll do. Because this way is not working right now.
Mr.
And
O'Connell.
that's all I have to say.
Couple things before you step down. First of all, I want to thank you for bringing this attention to our attention. Yes, I sat on the other side meetings, and I remember you mentioned this stuff about that. I had no exact idea what you were talking about, but as I come to different meetings, I got a little better understanding. What has happened is no excuse. I agree with you 100% with the amount of money they put in, and it's hard worked, and they should be getting that back, and they were told something, and it didn't happen, or it appears that it didn't happen. Whatever the case may be, now it's brought to this board's attention. We've got the request. There's documentation that we didn't know about, whether it's because of poor record keeping in the past, records destroyed because of acts of nature, or whatever it may be. But the fact is, let's go forward with this now we know about it. I can't speak for each individual person or the persons that are not here tonight on the board, but I myself will work with the attorney here and see if we can get an answer. because it does bring a lot of questions to my mind that is very similar to yours. First of all, what is that 66,000 for? Okay? And that should open the door or the can of worms to wherever the rest of that goes to. And then get an answer. And if we have to get representatives from that company here, we'll get them here. If they won't come here, then we'll take whatever legal recourse that our lawyer says we have to, and we will go after and see if we can get the answers to that. Whatever information that you can come up with as you're digging through those files and what we can find, if we can work together, hopefully we can come to an answer that'll solve everybody's problem.
Can I
Yeah,
just
I like-
ask one more question? Of all the ones that are living right now, does anyone have a certificate?
Never got one.
So no one has a certificate on hand?
Except for me, of a
Except for
deceased.
you, okay. And I just did a little calculation. If you put the 72,000 in, and it only averaged 6% a year, that means every 12 years it will compound. And 48 years later, it's 1,152,000, just under 72,000.
Could you people live with that?
I'm just talking about the money that they put in, like you said, 72,000.
But,
I just based it on that.
thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing
We
that.
should be able to at least get records from them through our lawyer, what happened, that account
That's
from
62,000.
57 to 69, and then at 69, what happened? That's the golden question.
Correct. And if the document stands for itself and they refuse to do it, they just flat out refuse to do it.
Is that for you, or your request, or that's what you found?
That was the pension board's committee studies
Back
request.
then, okay.
Back
all
then,
right,
say,
all right.
please turn it over, we're gonna start, please turn it over. 2 requests, they said they're not doing it.
All right.
So that would make me believe, and then you could do the other argument saying, hey, you know, they said they're gonna let legal counsel do it, the town solicitor, to look into it. And so now you're saying, well, with the union and the town solicitor working on it, maybe it did happen. Okay, you're asking, why didn't we hear about it for all these years? Because we relied on the town fathers of doing the right thing in the unions. Okay, but lo and behold, 49 years later, 2017, we get this mysterious check. And we have to, and the town should want to. This pension fund is one of the most critical in the state. 26% funded, I believe.
Right.
Okay? The town has a lot to gain if they go after John Hancock, if they're the culprit in all this. Okay? Because do 363 for 49 years compounded. Okay? That'll make that 1 million look like Trump change, right?
Absolutely.
So I hope you can work on it, but I will have a meeting with them. I don't think they'll go more than 60 days, but if they say they'll go more than 60 days, I'll come back to you. Tracy, just put it on the docket every month, and I'll come back and give you an update on John Hancock until I can't anymore.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Yes.
Gene Tully, I'm a retired police officer. I was on the committee in '69. And I'm just trying to clarify
Right,
some of
exactly.
your,
Thank you.
the thing was, back then, we took people at their word. I just assumed all these years that money was going where it was supposed to go. Until this came out, I never had an inkling that it wasn't going there. So that's probably why nobody was asking any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Diane Kelsey. I'm a widow of a disabled firefighter. I think this is really disturbing, what we're hearing, and I'm sure you all feel that way, because you want to do the right thing. That's why you're all here. I feel for these people that were involved in this particular issue. And I really believe until it's completely settled, or we find out what that, let's use just the $66,000 check, which could be one of several, and we still don't have that answer yet. But if we take just that money and put it, and have Clearbrook, direct Clearbrook, to put that in a separate account, it should not be commingled with the rest of the pension funds. And these gentlemen's pensions should, and/or spouses, should not be touched. But that money shouldn't be used for anything else until this is resolved. And that needs to be earning a significant amount of interest, but it should be completely separate. As we all know, it could mean a lot more money than we see, but any further checks coming in from John Hancock, and there may be, should go into that fund. And I think I respectfully ask that this committee direct Clearbrook to put that money, take it out of the regular pension fund and put it in a separate fund until we find out, because this involves potentially 8 individuals, and they're entitled to that money. The rest of the retirees are not, and I'm one of those. I won't gain any benefit from this, but it only involves 8 individuals. They should be fully cognizant and gain the benefit that they're entitled to, that they expected. As Mr. Tellier said, we took people at their word. So this should be put in a separate fund, let it gain its interest. Clearbrook could easily do that. And I respectfully ask that this committee direct that of Clearbrook. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other further public comment? Hearing no one else wants to make a public comment, we'll close public comment at this time. Need a motion?
Motion to close public comment.
Second, the motion to close public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second? We have a second. Ayes, denied?
Any nays?
Nays? Thank you. Motion carries.
Go back to,
Okay. Back to,
oh. Okay, yes. We can, request, okay. See how much we can get through. He said he has a couple more minutes.
Yes, go ahead.
Where are we on?
We're gonna continue until easily.
Oh, yeah.
all right, do you want to go back up to F or continue on F?
Yeah, we can go back up to F, that's fine. F's gonna be quick.
All right, let's go back to F on the agenda, board council report.
As the board is now aware, we received a access to public records request on last week. I am in the process of going through documents to see what is responsive to that request. As I just discussed, Tracy's also seeing what she has that's responsive, and the town is as well. Once we have that request put together, we will respond accordingly. I will get copies of everything that we find to the board as well. If we can't email it, then we'll see if we can put it on a CD so that the board members can have copies of the response to the request as well.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it, okay. Need a motion for the councils?
I make a motion to accept the board council report.
I second the motion to accept the board council report.
The motion's been made and seconded to accept the board council report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is G, Rockland and Clearbrook monthly expenses. Rockland, beginning market value was $31,639,322.30. Ending value was $31,639,322.30. This is for the period of 1/1/18 to 1/31/18. Ending market value was $32,178,954.71. we do this separately or put them together?
We do them, I'll just keep reading.
Okay.
Yep.
For Clear Book, for the quarter ending March 31st, 2018, based on December 31st, 2017 market value, is $27,517.61.
That's it.
That's it.
That 31 million with the alternatives added there,
No, those aren't in the Clear Book report, I believe.
is that in the Rockland?
It's in the Rockland. Would you say, what was it again?
31 million was the Clearbrook, but there's alternatives out there.
Okay, bear with me on that. See if I can find that for you.
The, alternative funds, I think, is Graham, Absolute, Davison, Hefner, and Slade.
About $4 million.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but those are usually, those funds.
Which ones are they?
Yeah, those are the alternative funds.
Okay, I found it. Okay, total of the alternatives, market value is $6,829,270. Do you want that broken down, or? That was the total for the alternatives. Is
That's
that-
usually.
So it's about $37 million, 31 for Rockland and 6 million added in, 37.
As this area is 36,690,000, is that the
Yeah.
grand total?
It's right up
Oh,
there.
yeah, 36
Yeah, I
million.
don't have that, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it.
Oh,
You can look at it if you'd like.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
36
total-
million, 36,600,000.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, it's not, that doesn't mark, there's the numbers on here, it doesn't
I was
tell you
just
what it is.
writing on it.
But I guess we had 27,517.61. With the alternatives comes up to $36,690,144.63. Okay?
Thank you,
Sorry about that.
no problem.
That's,
Accept that.
That's it, we just
no,
usually
motion.
read them. Yep.
Okay, all right. Next one is, we'll go back to letter M, regulation number 6.
That is, Pension Board Regulation Number 6 involves the selection of physicians to use for independent medical examinations. And there has been discussion by the board of amending Regulation Number 6 to include the process that the board's been using, which is to take the physicians that have been published by the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust as a guide for physicians to use for independent medical exams. And there were some other changes that the board had with the process that was put forth in prior Regulation Number 6. So what I've done is done a draft amended Regulation Number 6 for the board's review. And you can review it and we can discuss it at the next meeting if there's any changes that you want to add in there to change Regulation 6 any further.
Okay.
Should we table that?
Yep, you can, if you want to table that to the next month, you can, read it, review old Regulation 6 and the new draft regulation. And then if you want to table it to next month, you can put it on and make any changes that you have, and then you can approve it then if you want to.
I make a motion we table till next month so we can read both.
I second the motion to table this till next month, Amendment 6 till, not next
Regulation
month.
number 6.
Regulation 6.
Regulation 6.
Motion been made and seconded to table till next month, regulation number 6. One thing I just want to say on it, basically, we're going to use the doctors that the trust use instead of picking whatever, so that it's the uniformity and consistency from here on in. All right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next, N, recertification for disability pensioners procedure.
This is also on from last month that the board had some amendments that they wanted to make to the procedure that had been proposed. I have made those amendments and provided them to the board. I've also provided, you also have the plan documents to review to go over the draft recertification procedure. What we had added was to make the recertification process the same as the process to be determined to have a disability. So it was to have up to 3 doctors to give the board the ability, if they so chose, to use a treating physician as one opinion, and to then have 2 out of 3 opinions as far as if the person is continued to be disabled or not. So if the board wants to take time to review the new draft procedure,
I
you
was just
can
gonna-
have the same process if you want that you just did with regulation number 6.
I suggest we table this until next month, so we have time to review it.
Second.
I make a motion to table
Okay.
this. Recertification for disability pensions procedures till next month, so we have some time to review it.
I second.
Motion been made and seconded to table recertification of disability pensioners procedure till next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? O, applications. And they
Well,
are,
we can just do it quick.
yeah.
There's been a couple of questions that have come up when applications have been received. Tracy, do you remember the specific questions we wanted to add?
When we were talking, about the IOD, if
Oh, to just
they-
add,
right.
we had added a question on the application last month if anyone had had a leave of absence, and so that's been included in the pension application. Tracy and I had discussed whether or not the application should be amended to, instead of just ask about leaves of absences, to ask about any breaks in service, whether or not someone had received any benefits, IOD, or any workers' comp benefits, bless you, or had any military time, just so we could keep track and when we go back and look at the wages of any gaps or any breaks in service that we see, so we can be able to know before we look and order the wages, we'd know what time periods we were looking at for any kind of different breaks. So Tracy had just called and asked that I bring it to the board's attention to see if you wanted to amend the application to add, instead of just leaves of absence, anything. And we could specifically, under the leaves of absence category, specify things such as a leave of absence, time on workers' comp, time on IOD, military service, things like that, just to be more specific on the application.
Does that tie in with the, what we discussed in the executive board, the problem we're having, is that addressing that?
Yeah, it's just making our application more
concise.
correct, so that we know before we order the figures. When an application's received, we order the figures for wages from the different departments, depending on what the person's retiring from. So it's to give us an idea. The reason that the question has come up is specifically with municipal employees with a 10-year wage look back. We've ordered wages, and there have been gaps that we have then had to go and investigate to find out why wages were different for certain periods of time. So the idea is to include as much as we can on the application, so that we know before we have to order the wages that there are periods of time and what they represent.
And that will shorten the application review process.
Yes, because we'll know that they're coming in advance and be able to prepare for it. Absolutely.
Is that easy enough to vote on?
Yes.
To change it?
Yeah, you just add it,
Yep.
so it's just that one line.
So we need to make a motion for that?
You can do, if you want to have me amend the application, you can just move to have me amend the application to add specific leaves of absence, including IOD and workers' comp.
I think it would be for the best.
Yeah, let's just do it that way then. I think that should be put on the application.
Yes.
It eliminates a lot of questions and problems down the road.
Because right now we have do not include that time.
Still need a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion that legal change, amend the application, what we're just discussing.
A second.
Motion made and seconded for making amendments to the applications. That makes any sense? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. P, the opt-out for police and fire disabilities.
Tracy and I have met with the town manager to put together a list of questions from the memorandum of understanding consent judgment that was entered into by some of the disability retirees. And we have also included a list of different scenarios for those who did not participate in the consent judgment. And we have met with the town to discuss this and have created an outline to formulate our next meeting, which we'll be scheduling with the town manager, so that we can have a memorandum put together by the pension board of how disability pension benefits are treated prior to the 2004, or excuse me, after the 2014 consent judgment.
Okay. Any discussion?
So we're gonna have
Yeah, you'll have to table it again.
Table,
So
yeah.
Tracy and I will meet with the town
to send
manager.
an email, I'll send it to you.
I make a motion to table that.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to table the opt-out, police and fire, until we get a meeting with the town manager. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is, workers' compensation and pension contributions.
Oh, I
You
just
get
skipped one.
No, COLA.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Q.
COLA, sorry. COLAs for police and fire disabilities.
The COLAs for police and fire disabilities are on here at my request. A question has come up from the actuary regarding the calculation of a fire disability under the current pension plan in accordance with the current consent judgment. The issue that has come up when the actuary has tried to calculate the benefit is with the COLA suspension, and it's unclear when the COLA suspension begins to run, rather from the start date of the disability pension or from the date that the fire pension converts from a disability retirement to a normal retirement. There's also a question about how the COLA benefits are applied as far as if the COLA were to resume prior to the conversion from the disability retirement to the normal retirement, how that would then be calculated as the disability pensioners' pension benefits would be adjusted at that point from the disability retirement to the normal retirement. The actuary has asked the question because it's unclear to them from reviewing the consent judgment in the CBA how those benefits adjust with that cost of living increase. My recommendation would be that the board communicate with the town manager and with the representatives from the fire union who were part of the parties to that consent judgment regarding the COLA, and get more information as to the intent of how those benefits were to be adjusted so that the board can interpret the plan accordingly for the actuary to be able to make those calculations. This is the first fire disability application that the board has received under the 2014-19 contracts. So that's why it's just come up now.
So we can ask our clerk to set up a meeting?
Can you talk into the mic so we can hear you, please?
Sure.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was me.
Started me.
I said, I'm really
I
close.
turned my,
Closer to you, like you're singing.
you do not want to hear me sing.
Talk into the mic.
Can I just ask a question about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Frank, can you hear me?
The MOU has a COLA in it. Okay?
Which one?
Our MOU.
For the
14.
right. It's not yours. That's a question.
So you're telling me that the disabilities that leave now on the current CBA get a COLA plus an escalation?
No. That's the question is the application of, because there's a conversion. That's what the question is. Because the contracts for the fire have a conversion from the disability benefits to a normal benefit. That's the question of the COLA, how that goes, because if someone is still receiving the disability benefits at the time when the COLA suspension ends and the COLA starts, then they convert. That's the question. What happens?
You mean in between contracts?
No, in between the time when they're receiving the disability benefits and the time when it changes from the disability pension to the normal pension.
And
So if the COLA has started while they're receiving the disability pension,
You'll see, I get a little confused when you use COLA for the new, because to me, that's not a COLA. It's an escalation.
Okay.
Because truthfully, if it was a true COLA, it'd be a mandated thing in the contract, 2%, 3%. It's really only you get 2/3 of what a current police officer or firefighter gets. So if they got a 1% raise, they get 2/3 of that 1%. So it's not truly a COLA, it's an escalation of that pay grade, correct?
no, I don't think that's,
Get COLAs then?
the fire contract has changed. That it's not the same escalator, if I remember correctly. It's it's changed.
So if the fireman get a raise, that fireman doesn't get
No.
two-thirds anymore?
No.
They just get a specific COLA, like the MOU?
Yes, I believe.
Really?
This is why we need the firemen's union to
Right.
discuss this, to let us know what the intent was.
Yeah, they're not dependent on the actives any longer.
Yeah.
It's changed.
We need to understand the intent here,
Right.
okay, so.
Because the actuary's having trouble.
I mean, if it's a COLA, it's a COLA, it'll just start up. I mean, if you go from an escalation to COLA, then it makes sense what you're talking about. When do you actually change over?
It's the conversion from, my understanding is it's a COLA, and I apologize that this was from last month, so I'm remembering from 30 days ago, but I'm trying to be as clear as I can. That it's a COLA, but it's on the COLA suspension, so it has the period of time where there's no COLA received. And the question has come up as to if that person is a younger person, so they're gonna be longer on the disability pension, sorry, I backed up. They'll be longer on the disability pension receiving it versus if they were closer to converting to the normal retirement, then the COLA suspension wouldn't matter anyway because they wouldn't receive their first COLA until after they had already converted to the normal retirement benefit. But if it's a younger person who has more than 7 years before they'd reached what would be their normal retirement age, that's the question the actuary has raised. If they start receiving those COLA benefits, then there's a conversion, then what happens? Because they would have already received a certain number of years of the COLA benefits.
And they're trying to determine what their pension's gonna be, and what that question, without an answer, it's hard for them to figure out what their benefit's gonna be for that individual. Because if you've got a limit of how many years you can collect in a COLA, if you collect it and you're young enough, as she was stating, and you collect it, now you convert to a regular pension, do you start collecting again, or is that time period already been served, the number of COLAs you collected? for the
Yeah, I
year?
was just unaware that they changed the formula for 66 and two-thirds. I thought they reverted back to the way it used to be. 66 and two-thirds were, you were given holiday and longevity payments, and you would get two-thirds of a raise of what a police officer or firefighter got. But you're telling me that formula has changed now?
If I remember
Yes.
correctly, they lost that in
Bargaining
a,
agreement,
Yeah.
where 66 and two-thirds is just a straight 66 and two-thirds now, and then somewhere down the road to that benefit, a COLA kicks in.
Yeah, it's Article, God, I'm gonna do my Roman numerals and it's been a long day. Article 17, Section 7, and it's, if the person has less than 25 years, then they get two-thirds of the basic salary without increase until the service plus the disability time equals 25 years. Then they're converted to 55% of the active rank at the time that they reach the 25 years. But there's not a further, the question is the COLA increase.
So the union negotiated away their disability rights?
no, I think that, correct me if I'm
Well,
wrong,
if
but
you're
No.
changing a 66 and two-thirds
I-
to 55%, and they're still disabled, then there's a conflict there between. So the union negotiated that to take away the 66 and two-thirds and drop them to a 55% after 25 years?
that's my understanding,
I
yes.
believe they did.
But I believe that was through, I think that was through the town challenging it in court,
The other
if I remember
people,
correctly.
receipts, don't they?
I don't think
That-
that was through negotiation.
That might, I think it was through the consent judgment? I don't think that was,
No, I don't think it's part of consent, I think it was just a separate issue.
well, no, the IAFF has one too.
Okay.
They have, there's 4.
Okay. They asked about our COLAs when they would stop.
There's, no, I just mean consent judgments.
Oh.
That you have one, IAF has one, IBPO has one, and the municipal has one. So I didn't mean your consent judgment, I meant the IAFF consent judgment.
Okay.
So,
Tell you, learn something new every day. I didn't know they could reduce their pension
Yep.
to 55%.
It's a saying you can say every day, learn something new every day.
They have, members who retire on occupational disability prior to 25 years of employment shall receive two-thirds of their basic annual salary. The benefit will continue for the period of such disability, or if sooner, until the date upon the member would have completed 25 years of service and qualified for service retirement had the member rendered service without interruption, at which time the member shall receive an occupational disability benefit of 55% of the basic annual salary of active employees who then occupy the same position as the member did upon retirement. And the COLA for such members shall be treated in accordance with paragraph 6, and then it goes on from there. So that's why it's become an actuary question, right?
I understand that.
I'd like, because I have to be in Boston in 20 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to table the COLA for fire disabilities to accept the meeting we discussed. Can I say that?
I'm gonna just
I'm
schedule
sorry.
it for the next meeting.
Yeah, table.
Yeah, no, we can,
It
we,
was in an executive session and an open meeting.
well, you just do it on what we just talked about, right.
Right, so I'll make a motion to table that so we can set up that meeting and discuss the fire department, the finance.
The
Okay,
fire executive board.
Well, executive bonds, thank you.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to table Q, COLAs for police and fire disabilities till a meeting can be set up with the fire executive board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, R, workman's compensation pension contributions,
I would ask that be tabled until March so that we can have time to discuss that.
okay?
I make a motion, we table that, workers' compensation, pension contributions.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to table workers' compensation and pension contributions till the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, discussion. Check was deposited to Rockland for $163.42 from Citizens Bank. Letter from Citizens Bank Wealth Management dated 12/18/2017 to the town of West Warwick states it was regarding Bank of America litigation settlement, town of West Warwick pension. To whom it may concern, enclosed you will find a check in the amount of $163.42. This money represents a share received by Citizens Private Wealth for the second distribution of the Bank of America litigation settlement on behalf of the town of West Warwick pension. This settlement was brought against Bank of America during the time the pension was managed by Citizens Private Wealth. Because this account is no longer managed by Citizens Private Wealth, per our closing instructions, we are forwarding your share of the settlement to you. Should you have any questions, feel free to call us at 281-7927. Mr. O'Connor, if we would have got a letter like this with a
Absolutely.
$66,000 check,
You could answer a lot of my questions.
yes. Okay,
Okay, so that was litigation, against Citizens Bank, or Citizens Bank was controlling litigation? I'm confused.
it sounds like
What, some wealth management account we had with Citizens Bank?
Citizens used to be controlling our money for the pension.
Okay,
And there was some litigation that was against Bank of America,
okay,
and there was a settlement, and they received that back to them because they were managing the money at the time of the litigation, or whatever it referred to the period.
okay.
But since they no longer manage our funds, they forwarded it to us per the closing instructions when they,
So, then the question is, what do we do with this? Put it into our general, fund, or? Where did the
Tracy,
money,
did
anybody
you-
know where the
has-
money from
has
Citizens
this been
Bank?
deposited yet?
I do send it right to Rockford, I can,
You sent it to Rockland, okay.
yes.
And,
We've gotten one last month or 2 months ago.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
and so the money from, so
In a second.
where did, do you know, Tracy, where the money from the Citizens Bank Wealth account went into when we closed it, when they closed that
I
account?
do not have.
You don't know.
that information, no.
Because it would be nice if we knew that, and then we make sure that this time, Rachel goes,
Go Citizens.
it would be nice if we knew that, and we could figure out, we could ensure that that all of these checks, you know, they're saying this is, they're implying that there will be others.
Yeah,
That all these checks go into whatever account the original Citizens Bank Wealth Management account went into.
Do we have any records to what originally it was?
I do not know that information.
You would have to look
We would have
at
to look
when
at
it
the
transferred
Citi-
from
yeah, we
Citizens
would
to
have look
Rockland.
at it, but I don't know that.
Okay.
We can look at it.
It was.
So it wasn't that long ago?
Wasn't it January 1st, 2016? Wasn't? Yeah.
I think it ended, you know, it began in January 2015 when you converted, and then there was questions about did we receive it all? and
Right.
charge
Correct.
fees,
No, they
that
held
all
back
resolved.
of,
They
yes,
held
Held
back
back some
some.
money,
correct.
but that should have converted to the Clearbrook account,
Yes.
possibly. And you Tracy should have.
We'll check on it. Okay, so it's
Yeah, I
probably
just don't
not,
know that we can,
Citizen.
oh, sorry.
It should be, I
Yeah.
just
But it
don't
should be
know.
in
off the
minutes,
top of
All right.
my head.
because it,
Right.
I would say January 2015.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I
Oh,
believe
I-
what Helene was trying to ask was if there was an account that had
I don't
the
think it's
specific
a
number
separate
from
account.
the citizens' private wealth, and I don't know that
No,
that's,
I think it was direct.
I think it was correct. I think all the money from citizens
Correct.
transferred to
I don't think it was
Rockland.
separate
I don't know that they
Okay.
separated the different, I think there were 8 or 9 citizens accounts, if I remember correctly.
okay.
And I think that
Let's
they
just
all
make sure
just
that,
transferred to
that
Rockland.
this money gets it, follows that same
believe so.
path,
I
okay?
think so, too.
I think what's confusing is it's Citizens Private Wealth manage the money. That's a branch of Citizens,
Okay.
apparently.
That is
That's
correct.
what it sounds
Yes.
like.
Right,
Okay.
okay,
All right.
got it.
Now, are we sure we got all the money from the 9 accounts that we had, Estes?
Yeah, that was, I know that there was a reconciliation that I know that the prior finance director had gone through from the citizens to the Rockland transfer to account for the money. There was money that was held back, and that money was transferred.
And it was settled.
Yes,
So then we should have all the statements from citizens from 2015 back that will show checks from John Hancock.
that's what we're gonna be looking for.
And
Potentially.
and plus, now, who was custodian before citizens?
There were lots of custodians before citizens.
Industrial National
Correct.
Bank of America.
Yep, yep,
Industrial National Bank.
yep,
They were for a number of years.
So perhaps we should look at those records too,
yes.
to see the total amount we've got from John Hancock.
Russ, I believe
We can actually do the citizens.
The statements.
Believe
But-
that might have been Industrial National, which when it turned over to Fleet after.
Right, but the whole point.
I think the name changed
Those
like
records have a-
10 times, but it was the same, it would have been the same account information. I think the name just
Bank of
kept
America.
changing.
Just kept changing
Right.
names. Yeah.
Right. I'm
All
sorry.
right,
didn't-
next thing,
You can't go on with the meeting, you don't have a quorum.
Can't vote on anything.
Oh, can't go on that. Okay.
But the good news is
Yeah.
we're on discussion.
Well, we usually
So,
have. I'm gonna talk that.
it
Well-
was,
you just have the 2 things from Tracy, yeah.
it was a question about the cabinet in the pension office about all our records, medical records, personal records, all that stuff for active and retired people. I looked at that lock on that cabinet. It's a very good lock. It's a very old cabinet. It's well-built. They don't make them like that anymore. I went to a locksmith I know and gave him a picture of what was there because it was too complicated to pull it apart, to bring it to him to get a key for it. And I had 2 keys made and gave them to Tracy. We have one, she has one, and one is locked in a secure place so that we have a backup for it. And the good thing is, it did not cost anything out of the pension money. We got the building inspector's office to pay for it out of their account.
Wow, I can do that. Now let's work on other accounts.
One thing at a time, that's what I said in my application.
Can I
That's it.
go ahead and ask one thing? Wouldn't you believe that the town has an interest in the pension?
I would believe so.
Okay, if so, then why is it we don't invite either the council here or the council president here?
I-
Are we able to do that?
They received the,
Are we
No.
able
They
to
received
ask
that
them
already?
to come?
yeah, I believe, don't we send them all of the?
Not to the council.
No, to the town manager and the finance director. The manager and the finance director received the agendas.
Agenda.
Right, they received the agenda, but why isn't, we can't invite the town council to come, to partake in this situation,
You certainly can.
so we can request them?
Yes,
You should be able to request
you can
anybody
invite
you want.
them.
So why can't I request that at the next meeting, invite them, and whoever shows up, shows up?
You can.
Yeah, you-
Well, then I suggest, I'd like to make a motion that,
You can't
oh, I
make any
can't, I
motions.
can't vote? Cheeseburger, where are you? My night show.
Just a discussion.
Oh, it's a
She
discussion.
can add it to the,
Can you add it?
We can discuss
We can discuss it. Okay.
the general idea that it might be a good thing to send agendas.
I think it
We can't
is. I mean,
vote
why
on it.
not? I
We'll do
mean,
it
if I'm
next
getting my
meeting.
head,
Next meeting, you take a vote.
if I'm getting taken advantage, I want them to be.
We've done
up-
it in the past, yes.
If I wanna
don't-
get
don't know
burnt, they're gonna
who
get
said it,
burnt.
but yes.
sure, we're under discussion, so go ahead.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Jerry Tullia. Ed,
Yes.
I know it was getting a little heated
Yeah.
earlier, but I think Kevin's frustration was when he was asking 11 months ago about that $66,000
And I understand
check.
that. Mhm.
The chairman then would not even consider looking into it. And then it went till today, where you said, finally, we're gonna look into it. And that's the frustration, you know, and I know it was getting a little heated and stuff like that, but when a question arises, and Kevin's asking many questions, you know, it just seems like sometimes it takes way too long. And it's almost like, are they ever gonna answer us? And I'm just trying to
I
say this
understand that.
civilly.
Right, and how I feel about.
One year is,
Well, how I feel about when
Way
the time,
too long.
when it happened, I never been on a pension board in my life before.
Yep, I
Okay,
agree.
I thought I was gonna make more, I thought I gotta go on here and see about the money being invested properly. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that access, and I can't tell them where to invest the money. Because that's where my expertise is, okay? But then, it was 11 months ago, we have a chairman, he's the chairman, so we're following the chairman. So evidently, the chairman should take in
I
a
agree.
leadership role.
I agree.
And
And these other three ain't even
They're
part of
brand
this.
new.
They're not even part of this.
No, they're not.
But if this continues again.
Well, I don't think it's gonna
and
continue.
Kevin's never gonna drop it.
It's not gonna
Just,
continue. We're gonna look
you know.
into it more.
Okay, and that's all.
I know you heard it before, Kevin, but now we have a board that really wants
Okay.
to get to the bottom of this
That's all,
thing.
thanks.
Okay?
And I did invite Mr. Goslin here tonight. I thought
You
he was
did?
here.
Say thank you. And he didn't come.
I talked to him.
Thank you. Okay.
How you doing? Felix Apollonia.
Hi, Felix.
Can someone explain the accounting procedure when a check comes in? Let's say we have a 30-year treasury, a 30-year zero coupon, checks come into the town. Where do the check, do we account for checks or we just deposit them? What's the accounting procedure?
I don't believe we get that, do we?
We don't really get
No.
Is there a defined procedure with money coming in? How are the checks handled? Do we just deposit checks, or does someone indicate we got $5,000 for a CD? What's the accounting procedure?
Yeah, that's the clerk's, whatever checks we receive, the clerk puts on the agenda.
If we have investments, we have buys and sells on the stock side, we know,
I don't get involved.
but who's handling the accounting?
We
No,
don't, there's
we
no
have
checks.
Eyes are.
We have a firm, Clearbrook, who handles the accounting.
Right, did they handle that check that came in?
No, that check was sent directly to the town and was deposited by the
Do
clerk.
we know if other checks came in from John Hancock over the years?
That's what we need
That's
to
what
look
we're trying to
into.
find out.
Is this what type of annuity, is this a fixed, a variable, what kind of annuity is this?
Is-
What type of annuity?
I'm sorry, is
Is
the John Hancock account?
Is it a fixed, is it a variable, what type of annuity is it?
Is the John Hancock account, is that your
Yes.
question? That's what we need to look
We
into.
don't know what kind of
It should
annuity it
be on
is?
that, it should be on that policy that you have.
Right, now,
Right.
is this
It was
under the, does this
unclear.
fall under the SEC or under the State Insurance Commission? Some annuities fall under the SEC.
You know,
We're trying to locate all of these documents, so that's, no one is trying to not answer the question,
You
but we
you
need to
people
get
need
that.
to,
Annuities
you
are- no,
you
no, by the
need to, you
insurance
need to
company.
define the accounting procedure on money that comes in for this pension fund. There has to be a defined, specific procedure. If we're getting checks in, this board should know specifically what, it should be posted, it should be accounted for.
What happens, as Tracy had said, when a check, like for instance, this check came from litigation or court settlement, right? So it's sent to the town, to the pension board. She puts it on the agenda, gives us a copy of the check,
And it went into the
and
pension
then
board.
it gets deposited into, to the
Yeah.
pension fund.
Yeah.
right? That's the only checks that we receive, anything along that
Right,
line.
what happens with these 25-year long-term treasury bonds
As
or?
far as I know, that stuff stays there and just gets reinvested or get changed.
It's not posted to the actual investment, so is it posted so we know what the returns are? Do we understand the accounting, or there's no
It's posted-
understanding of anything?
In the Clearbrook reports, they tell us where, what all of the accounts have earned each month. And, so we know every single
You
account, and
rely
how
on
much is earned.
Clearbrook, okay.
Yes.
Right. And those are posted, you can see those, those are all posted online.
All right. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, can we adjourn? I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this.
Yeah, you don't need to say
Don't
that.
have to.
Good?
Yeah, you're good.
We're done?
Yeah, that, we were done once the quorum.
Did
So,
it-
yeah, you can, I mean, you can adjourn.
See, look, it goes right here, right there. Here's the other receipts, cash receipt, class action settlement bank. So this goes into a cash account. That's where that goes into. It goes into a cash account.